A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Thursday edition of the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo. On the show tonight, we'll take a look at what's going on in the Nigeria Professional Football Premier Football League. I have to correct myself. Nigeria Premier Football League. We'll also we'll be doing a review of matches played midweek and things to look at. Also, as the countdown continues to the African Cup of Nations, we'll look at the state of readiness of the host, that's Côte d'Ivoire. We'll also take a look at the shortlist, the final three for the CAF awards in different categories. We'll look at that on the show. English Premier League, we get all stalking. And of course, we will take a look at some stories. Paul Pogba is in the news. We talk about him and also take reactions from the managers' games played yesterday. So that's the outlook of the show for tonight. It's a two-man show. My colleague, Austin Okona-Akwen, is suited and ready. And of course, we will be taking this trip together.
What a greetings to you, Yemi, and of course, everyone joining us on the show tonight. Definitely an action-packed sort of sports. In the English Premier League, there's a crucial game going on between Everton and Newcastle. Everton must find a way to make it 2 wins in a row. And then Newcastle, they also want to get back to where they hope to be. If they win tonight, they go 30 points, tied on the same points with Pep Guardiola's team, Manchester City, who, by the way, they're struggling. They've lost 3 games this season. And there's that big London derby between Tottenham Hotspur and West Ham. So the English Premier League will definitely get us talking tonight on the show, live game, and we'll be giving our viewers updates as regards that one. I'd like to talk about that final 3 for the CAF awards for the men. That's an interesting conversation. I'll wait for us to get into that one. And of course, Côte d'Ivoire. I remember when we were getting ready for the last AFCON, there was so much negative reports about Cameroon not being ready to put together that AFCON. But Cameroon did put up a good show, gave Africa a good football competition, and in fact, gave the world something to use to respect Africa when we're talking about football development. So I'd like to see what Côte d'Ivoire can do this time around. It's all about football development in Africa, and of course, so much more in our beautiful, exciting, money-spinning, action-packed world of sports. Here, I'm ready to rock and roll tonight.
All right, I'm ready as well. Let's introduce our partner in the Lagos studio. Okoyemi Akiode joins us now. Okoyemi, greetings to you. Thanks for joining us on a day such as this when we have a lot of important things to talk about.
Yes, good evening, Yemi. Good evening, Austin. Always smiling, always good to go. It's going to be a big night, and of course, the top 3 for the CAF awards, African Footballer of the Year award. Achraf Hakimi, big season with PSG, bigger season with Morocco at the World Cup. There's also Sadio Mane, of course, our own Victor Oshimen, amazing season he had with Napoli, giving them the Serie A title for the first time in 33 years. So I'm really looking forward to that conversation. Of course, the English Premier League, Manchester City, are they really struggling or is just the regular purple patch? Let's see all of that will win out. So you're welcome to the show. Thank you for having me.
All right. I mean, when I heard Austin say struggling, and that's a conversation we really need to have. Are they really struggling? But I'm not going to get ahead of myself. We're going to start from home. That's where we're going to start. An interesting conversation on who is going to be the next African Footballer of the Year. I mean, you could be forgiven if you're partisan in this one. It's been a long time you had a Nigerian win that award. I mean, it's taken a very long time. You have to cast your mind back to the year 2000 when Nwankwo Kanu got that award, and it's been a long time. So let's patiently look at it, and we're not campaigning, but each of us will talk about who might end up winning this award. I'll just go up to the screen and look at that final 3, and of course we have some deliberations on. Of course, Okoyemi is the man who does the analysis, so we will ask him what he thinks. So let me just go across and look at this. Final 3, we've been talking about this for some time. A lot of people have been saying that this award is Victor Osimhen's to lose, but let's see what happens. Anyway, final 3, Player of the Year, men, 2023 CAF Awards, Mohamed Salah, Egypt and Liverpool. Achraf Hakimi, Morocco, and Paris Saint-Germain. Victor Oshimen, Nigeria, of course, and Napoli. Okwemi, first bite of the cherry. Who do you think will nick this? Do you understand the parameters? Let's start there.
Absolutely. And it's very clear. And I've always been an apostle of anytime there's a tournament here, either the World Cup or the AFCON, it would always play a big role in who wins it. It's an individual award, irrespective of how far your team must have performed. Again, football is a team sport. You don't do the stuff alone. And I think I've always been tempted, since I saw the first 10, I knew it was probably going to be between Achraf Hakimi and Victor Oshimen. Hakimi made the League 1 team of the season, won the league with PSG, and even if you want to throw all of that away, Morocco had the biggest World Cup in the history of Africa. They set the record, and Achraf Hakimi was actually part of the team of the tournament. Victor Oshimen didn't go to the World Cup. So if you want to look at it from that pedestal, club to club, both of them won their leagues in France and in Italy. But then you look at the significant roles both of them played in their leagues as well. Napoli.
Let me ask for the sake of the viewers. Is the year 2023 the one under review, or is the season that has been concluded the one under review?
The season that has been concluded. But you can't take away the World Cup. It's a big one. It's a big factor in all of this. So I think...
I'm asking for the sake of the viewers.
Yeah, I think for me, it's most likely going to be between Achraf Hakimi and Victor Oshimen. And if you look at it here, Oshimen should win it. I'm a Nigerian, so I certainly want my brother to win it. But again, if Achraf Hakimi wins it, I think the argument will not be as clear as Wesley Sneijder and Lionel Messi in 2010, when Sneijder won everything with Inter Milan, took Holland to the final of the World Cup, where they lost by a goal to nil to Spain. But Lionel Messi won it, despite not scoring a single goal in the World Cup. Remember, Argentina was in Nigeria's group. Yeah. He didn't score a single goal. They got knocked out in the round of 16 by Germany. But again, he still won it because he scored the highest number of goals in the single calendar year for club and country. So it's going to be really dicey. And I've always told my friends, if Achraf Hakimi wins it, the argument will not be that much. You could look at the fact that Morocco had
Mohamed Salah not in the conversation.
For me, he's not. Okay. He's not. Liverpool didn't have the biggest of season. They didn't even qualify for the Champions League.
Egypt didn't do much.
Egypt didn't do much as well. So you look at Victor Oshimen with Napoli, exceptional player, highest goal scorer in the Italian Serie A, won the title for Napoli for the first time in 33 years. And again, he's scooped all of the major individual awards there. For Achraf Hakimi, big year. The Morocco factor at the World Cup will most likely play a big role in this year.
All right. Let me go to Austin, but first, let me say this. Let me put this on the line. I'm not saying this because I'm a Nigerian. The feat achieved by Victor Oshimen against the backdrop of how long it took Napoli to win the title is something that will be considered. And, the argument about, are we talking about 2023? Are we talking about 2022? Would the World Cup be in focus? With the teams, the achievements with the national teams also be in focus? Whichever way you look at it, I'm tempted to agree with Okwemi that in focus, it has to be between Victor Oshimen and Hakimi. So, for you, where do you think the pendulum will swing?
Yeah, I will not put out that disclaimer that because I'm a Nigerian, if somebody is doing well, particularly on this job, it is my duty to say the way it is. So one thing I know about awards, particularly the big awards, SEO comes into play, search engine optimization. Okay, do you know why Messi won it that year that he didn't even score a goal at the World Cup? It's because he's Messi. And every time the media have an opportunity to talk about Messi, we take it to talk about Messi, and that puts Messi out there because we've made it look like Messi doesn't love football, that football loves Messi. So I'm not going to just come out and say, oh, give it to Mo Salah, or give it to Hakimi, or give it to Napoli first. Let me say well done to CAF. The final three, they did a great job. Those are the right people who want to see in the final three. But why should we take a closer look at Oshimen and what he did? He didn't just win the Scudetto or the Italian Serie A for Napoli. He broke a jinx for Napoli. Let's take his Serie A career into proper look, and you'll see that this guy is always giving double figures. 2020, 2021, 24 matches, 10 goals. 2021, 2022 season, 27 matches, 14 goals. 2022-2023 season, record-breaking season with Napoli, 32 matches in the Serie A. I'm not putting other competitions in the Serie A alone. 32 games, 26 goals. This season, 2023-2024 season, 10 matches, and he has already scored 6 goals. Let's go to Hakimi. No disrespect. They're all professional footballers. In League One, 2021-2022 season, 32 appearances, 4 goals. 2022-2023 season, 28 appearances, 5 goals. 2023-2024 season, 12 appearances, 3 goals. So Hakimi is only coming to this award with what he did at the World Cup in Qatar. Fantastic. But it wasn't an individual effort. It's very important to underline that. Morocco, as a team, the Atlas Lions, they turned up. They played team football, and that's why the world stood up to, praise Morocco. Was Hakimi inspirational to that team? Yes, he played a pivotal role, to take Morocco. I love Mo Salah. If for nothing, is consistency. But this award, if we want to take a look at who went all the way, who did things against all odds, who got us talking when we least expected, then it's Victor Oshimen. Come on, straightforward. Let's take a look at it. He was a fighter. His work rate, his consistency, his dedication, everything he did last season was what gave Napoli that title. And the world stood up to celebrate it because it was something, it was record-breaking, it was unthinkable, and they did it in style. They won it with matches to spare. And that was one young Nigerian that led that charge, So I don't see where this is going. If they give it to Mo Salah, I'll say, okay, it's Salah, and he's got everything out there to, to let him win it. But if they give it to Hakimi, I'll ask questions. I'm sorry, I'm going to ask questions because the World Cup is just the World Cup. It's national team football. I think club football is what gets you talking all year long into the next year.
All right.
So no disrespect to anybody. I don't want to go into Mo Salah's stats because I like his stats. I like his consistency. But the media has been saying it's between Hakimi and Victor Oshimen, and that's why I just want to put that. And before anybody will come to me, Hakimi is a midfielder, you cannot compare him with no. It's football. And the word we understand in this football world is goal. If you score goals, you are respected. People will talk about you. And I've just read the stats. This young man, Victor Oshimen, from Nigeria, humble beginning and background, keeps giving Napoli double figures in the Serie A. And I think he has done more than enough to win the African Footballer of the Year award. Yeah.
All right. We have to move on. We can go on and on. Okoyemi wanted to respond, but you had already said what he was going to respond to. Hakimi is a defender, so probably not be fair if we look at the amount of goals, but his influence cannot be reduced as well. Still talking about the guys now. Let's look at it. Okay, we have the final three on screen, but we want to move on. Let's look at the interclub player of the year, and that's the next thing. We're looking at the final three. We'll finish with the men and go to the ladies: Fiston Mayele, DR Congo, and Pyramids, Peter Shalulile of Namibia, and Mamelodi Sundowns, and Percy Tau of South Africa, and Halali. Again, Okwemi, first bite of the apple. Who picks this one?
It's going to be tough. I think Shalulile has done exceptionally well for Mamelodi Sundowns. And then they've had a big season in the CAF Champions League, and of course, very recently in the African Football League, the one that was just started. But if you look at Percy Tau and his consistency, it's going to be difficult to throw him away. Beyond playing for the most successful club in Africa, which is Al Ahly, I think individually he's also done well for himself. Okay. Remember when he moved over to Egypt? I think it's going to be between Shalulile and Percy Tau, and most likely Percy Tau could nip this one.
All right. I'll sit on the fence on this one. I don't know if Ozzy wants to sit on the fence on this one as well.
No, I won't sit on the fence. I'll just say, yeah, I like that again. I agree with him, with Okoyemi on Percy Tau's consistency. But look, this is a good one for Africa, and the consistency that these players have shown, the quality that they brought into African football. So I'll stay neutral and say let the best man win because three of them truly deserve that award. But I just love Pesitao and the consistency. And as I said with the Victor Oshimen analysis, anything that gets you into the conversation in the media, and that's your relevance right there. And he's doing a good job in keeping his relevance here.
All right, let's move on. Goalkeeper of the year. I think this is where I'm going to have an opinion. Goalkeeper of the year. All right, final three. Andre Onana, Cameroon, Manchester United. Mohamed El Chenawi, Egypt, Al Ahly. Yassine Bonu, Morocco, Al Hilal. For me, I'll go with Yassine Bonu.
Absolutely.
I mean,
It's a straight one.
with my full face, full chest.
It's a straight one. Yassine Bonu currently playing in the Saudi Arabian League at the moment. But again, now it takes us back to Morocco. The fact that Yassine Bonu even made it to the player of the tournament's top 20 shows how important it was for Morocco. And above all, he won the Europa League with his former club when he was still playing in Spanish La Liga. Yassine Bonu is currently Africa's best goalkeeper. No disrespect to Andre Onana. He was exceptional when he was at Inter Milan before he moved over to Manchester United. And of course, El Chenawi also amazing player. He's been I call him a player because he doesn't even look like a goalkeeper. He's a huge part of that Al Ahly playing team. And I think they were really good when Pistomani was with them. He was the one that brought in Pesitao also to Al Ahly. But he just brought that leadership into the ball. Yassine Bonu, his performance at the World Cup with Morocco, his performance in the second tier of UEFA club football. I mean, I think it's a straight one. Yassine Bonu for this one. Straight one.
All right. I'm in agreement with Okwemi. Austin, goalkeeper of the year on the continent.
Yeah, you know, if you take away what Yassine did at the World Cup, I'm sorry, guys, I'll give that award to Andre Onana.
Wow.
If you want to take away what Yassine did at the World Cup, I will straightforward give that. Because just again, I agree with what you said about Yassine starting attacks and all of that, coordinating play with Al Ahly. Go and check what made Inter Milan that team that went to the final, and you'll see Andre Onana everywhere. That's why I'm wondering, and I'm asking the God of football, what happened that Onana is struggling at Manchester United? He's a complete goalkeeper. He has command, he's got control, he's confident on the ball, he makes fantastic saves, he's good with the long play, he's also good with coordinating play to the position in midfield. He was everything for Inter Milan last season. So if I take away the World Cup, I'm giving that award to Onana.
All right, let's move on. We have less than 2 minutes. Let's see. Young player of the year, before we go to the national team of the year. I was thinking we are going to have a Nigerian, but unfortunately, it didn't happen for us. I would have gone for the Nigerian, but the Nigerian is not here. So let's see. Young player of the year, Abdelsamad Ezauli from Morocco, plays for Real Betis. Lamine Camara, Senegal, Metz. Amara Diouf, Senegal, Metz. This one, I'll just say let it best player win.
Amara Diouf for me. I mean, I didn't get to see him until towards the end of last season for Metz, and then I had to go back to check how big he's become. Young player, he got into the big scene at the age of 16, was already commanding the respect. But again, Ezauli also for Real Betis, I think they've overshot a lot of people's expectations talking about Real Betis, and they're still doing it at the moment. And hey, there's also the Morocco factor, which will always come into play.
It always comes into play. All right, Austin. I mean, you're going to take us to break, but of course, you're going to tell us your pick.
I would, you know the way I am with young players. You know, I like this one so much because it's a huge testament that Africa is growing. We're giving attention to young talents, and it beats my heart once again that Nigeria is not in the mix. In fact, we've not been talking so much at that under 17 and under 20 level in terms of quality. You see two Senegalese players right there, and it's a clear testament of what Senegal seem to be doing with their football, building from bottom, to top. I like Lamine a lot, I think he's an exceptional talent. But then again, Kamara Diouf is also a good player. Look, I think this year African football should celebrate for a whole lot of reasons. We've got the world talking. We produce fantastic talents, both at the junior and senior level. Even if we get to the women, you will also see that it's as competitive as what we're talking about with the men. When you get to talk about the likes of Katlana Asisat Oshoala and Barbara Banda. You know, so these are good times. It's
Austin, let me throw this in quickly. Let me throw this in quickly. We got a green light, so let's do this before we go on a break. Let's talk about the national team of the year. Let's just wrap it all so that we do this and go on the break. National team of the year, the final three: Gambia, Morocco, and Senegal. Maybe, I don't know. Morocco with a straight face.
Morocco with a straight face, but Senegal for the development, for the consistency.
Yes.
They got to the previous AFCON where they lost the final to Algeria. They came back, won the AFCON, and then they've shown that level of consistency. But again, Morocco gave us a beautiful story at the last World Cup. The first of its kind being in Qatar, the first African country to go all out and get to that level whereby, a lot of people were saying that, hey, if Morocco had gone ahead to win that World Cup, if they had, nobody would have thought what's impossible. They had a Cinderella story at that World Cup. So, no disrespect to Gambia, but between Senegal and Morocco, I think Morocco will nip this one. It's a World Cup. I'm trying to understand why Austin is removing the World Cup from the factor. But it's a World Cup. Yeah, it is a World Cup.
All right. We're about to go on a break, but of course, that's after Austin tells us his national team of the year.
Again, I won't do it with a straight face, and I don't know why. Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just going the other way tonight, but I'll say Senegal. I'll say Senegal because they have shown that we can do the right things with football in Africa. No disrespect again to the World Cup. I think that's just pure straightforward World Cup preparation. Go out there, do the most. But Senegal, right from winning the AFCON, the things that they did in their country, going on to win the under-20, winning the under-17, and still staying relevant, I think we should show them some respect. The World Cup is huge. Morocco got people talking, but Senegal was also at that World Cup, and Senegal has always got us talking. So yes, because I love development, because I love to see African countries do the same thing. I love the fact that Senegal, they're a model for football development in West Africa. Morocco, they're doing their bit for North Africa. Senegal is telling us in West Africa that we can be like them and even get better. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Don't go anywhere. Stay. Welcome back, Sports Tonight on Channels Television. We're talking about the CAF Awards. Final shortlist have been released, and we're taking a look at countries, teams, players that will definitely get us talking when the winners are announced. Yemi, you need to say something about this one. I know everyone celebrates the World Cup. That's why it's the World Cup. But come on, I'm sure you respect Senegal for everything that they've done in terms of football development.
Yeah, Senegal is what we hope Nigeria will become. It's in a way, it sounds insulting, to be honest. But Senegal, forget about history and everything, how things should be done. Look, the players in Senegal are more popular than the officials. And that's how it should be.
Right.
And it's reverse here. You know the officials, you're always hearing one story or the other. Sports Ministry is always meeting with this. Well, I don't want to move out of the awards because it's been a beautiful night talking about exceptional players and all. I agree that you have to show respect to Senegal, but off camera, Austin, both Okoyemi and I, if you're
you guys just ganged up and gave out your own award, yeah?
We all know it's a gang up.
If you're talking July 2022 to July 2023, if that's what you're looking at, the World Cup is an integral part of that stretch. And so everything that happened with the World Cup would be a big factor. All right. So I guess we have to move on so that we don't get accused of being chauvinistic. Let's talk about the ladies now and move on. I'll go up to the screen in a bit to talk about the ladies. This is where my voice will go down a little because really the arguments could go left and right about this one. Earlier I said everything I said about Oshimen, and I made it clear I'm not saying it because I'm a Nigerian. I'm saying it because the stats, it's clear. It's not because I'm a Nigerian. You understand? This one might tie my tongue a little. But in any case, final three, player of the year, women, Asisat Oshoala, Nigeria, Barcelona, Temi Gatlana, South Africa, raising Louisville, and Barbara Banda of Zambia She plays for Shanghai Shengli. Again, first bite of the apple. Where does this go?
I think
your opinion. We have no say who wins.
Absolutely no
But your
say.
opinion.
I think the order has been properly arranged. No disrespect to Katlana. She's been exceptional. Every little tournament you get to see Bayana. And a lot of credit needs to go to Desiree Ellis, the manager of the Bayana. She's done exceptionally well for them. And it's just an embodiment of what South African sport has been about. They've consistently grown. I think if there's one country that can check the dominance of the Super Falcons at the continent, it is certainly South Africa. Barbara Banda also, she's been there. We saw her performance at the last World Cup with Zambia, her club performance. But hey, just like Austin said, it is the always bad big stage who gets you talking. Azia Oshoala, she won the Golden Boot for Barcelona last season. I mean, she's the only Nigerian, the only African player, if I'm not mistaken, to have won the UEFA Champions League female. She got to the final where they lost to Lyon by 4-1 the previous season. She scored the only consolation goal. And then this time around, she won it with Barcelona. But then let's look at the World Cup. She went into the World Cup with a lot of bad press around her. She doesn't give the same level of commitment she gives in club with the Super Falcons. But she came into the World Cup, into that game, and she gave us that large moment. I think the last time I saw Nigerians that happy was when Ahmed Musa scored those 2 goals against Iceland at the World Cup in Russia 2018. The next to that was Isaiah Oshoala, the celebration. But you just know how important she can be when it comes to the Super Falcons. Maybe the level of commitment, of course, you can't compare the quality of players that we've got in the club. No disrespect to the Super Falcons. Rashidat Ajibade, she's been exceptional also. Big players in the Super Falcons. So I think in that particular order, Austin may take off my head for this one, but I think the award has been properly arranged in that way. Isaiah Oshoala, Tembi Katlana, and Barbara Banda.
Okay. Austin, you agree?
Yeah, I mean, don't worry not this time around. We're together. You know, and look, I'll say it again. I said it last year, just before the World Cup, that Asisat Oshoala is a child of grace. You know, check since when she got into the conversation. Tell me 1 year that we're talking about African women's football that this woman doesn't get into the conversation. That level of consistency should be studied. She needs to share the oil that she puts in a lamp that keeps her burning to her fellow teammates. You know, and again, it comes down to that conversation that I told you about. I like what Tembi Katlana they've done and Barbara Banda. They've brought some level of good competition. And I like particularly for Banda, she's from Zambia. And the good thing about this short list, the 3 of them went to the World Cup. So it comes down to club football and, you know, national team football. And especially with Barcelona, and no disrespect to Katlana, she plays for Racing Louisville, which is a decent women's club. I think Uchenna Kanu plays there also. And then Barbara Banda is in Shanghai Shengli. But when you talk about the cream de la cream of women's football in Europe, you must pass through Barcelona. And Asisat Oshoala has been. Did you see the wonder goal she scored 2 weeks ago that got her teammates shouting? That level of consistency is what puts Asisat Oshoala on top of this award, because if you go back to what I said about search engine optimization, if you talk about an influential African women football, female footballer in the last 10 years,
she's the biggest ever.
Pop up, and she will stay right there.
All right.
She wins that award.
All right. We could go on and on, but we've got to that point where I'm just going to take one-word responses because we have to cover a lot of ground. We've not even started talking about the English Premier League. A lot of interesting things to talk about in the English Premier League. Now we go to, okay, this is sorted. Let's move to the next category. Interclub Player of the Year, the women referee, Tolakale, Fatima Tagnaud, Leo Hang, Ramalepe. She plays for Mamelodi Sundown. 2 Mamelodi Sundown players in this one. What word response?
Mamelodi Sundown referee to Kalele.
All the way.
Straight
Austin?
Let me wait till the one is announced. Let me wait.
Okay, let's flip quickly and talk about the next category, which is goalkeeper of the year. Khadija El-Rimshiv, Morocco, Chiamaka Nadozie, Andili Edlamini, South Africa, Mamelodi Sundowns, of course, Chiamaka Nadozie plays in Paris. This one again, not also because I'm Nigerian, it's hard to look away from Nadozie, but you're...
Absolutely. She had a big World Cup, made a penalty save at the World Cup against Canada, gave the Super Falcons a good start into the World Cup, and then she grew into it. You could see when we got knocked out, the entire world was celebrating, Chiamaka Nadozie, even at the club level. By the way, it was a penalty save that knocked Arsenal out of the CAF of the UEFA Champions League qualifier. I mean, she's doing well.
All right, Austin, a one-word response. Yeah. You agree?
Yep. I totally agree, but I also put Andile into that mix. I like Andile's command. I like her confidence. So for me, it's between Andile and Chiamaka.
All right, young player of the year. Let's flip. And young player, Comfort Jeboa, Nesrin El Chad, Deborah Abiodun. And this one, I'm not going to say anything. One-word response, quickly.
I think I'll pass.
You'll pass on this one?
I think I'll pass.
Okay, Austin, how about you on this one?
I'll give Deborah. I'll just give Deborah just to encourage young people, young female footballers in Nigeria.
All right, the next one, which is probably the last one, is pretty straightforward, unless you've not been watching football. In the last 1 year, women's football on the continent, you have national team of the year, Morocco, Nigeria, South Africa. If I want to borrow Okoyemi's word, I think he has been arranged in the proper order in reverse. In reverse. That's where I stand. But Okoyemi.
I think I'm going to be really soft on this one. Morocco, they've done well. I mean, you look at their level of dominance in female, especially at the continental competition. I'm talking about the Moroccan-based clubs. But for the national team, it has to be the Super Falcons. I'm sorry. We had a good World Cup here. It wasn't the best preparation going into the World Cup. We played against the co-host. We defeated them 3-2. And we had every opportunity to go very far in that World Cup. We're just unlucky against England. And we played against England that was the European champion coming into the World Cup. So I think for the Super Falcons, fine, our dominance is getting checked gradually. Ghana is coming through, Zambia is coming through, South Africa is coming through, but the Super Falcons still holds this one for me.
All right, so obviously Okoyemi disagrees with me. Austin?
Yeah, I'll go with South Africa. I love Nigeria, I love the Super Falcons, but I'll go with South Africa just because South Africa, it's beyond them just getting on the pitch, to play football. They are taking the right dots, they're empowering women footballers in their country, and they're using sports to tell a beautiful story. And of course, they won the last African Women's Cup of Nations. So it's South Africa for me.
All right, we're done with of course, the final three of all the categories for the awards, but we're still on the continent. Just one response from each of us. Let's talk about the Nations Cup. It's going to happen roughly over a month's time, and Côte d'Ivoire is telling the world that they're ready. Let's talk about some of the stadiums they're going to use. You're looking at the Alassane Ouattara Stadium in Abidjan. You have the Felix Houphouët-Boigny Stadium as well. You also have the one in Yamoussoukro, some of the facilities. Are you worried, Okoyemi? Quick response on this one. Austin has set the tone. Before hosting the tournament, you're going to hear all kinds of stories. Once the football begins, everybody forgets about it.
Yeah, everybody forgets it. And I've always said it, I don't really mix the politics of bad press with tournament. When the tournament proper starts, even the organizers would sometimes surprise themselves. And the beauty of the fact that we just want to see what happens in 90 minutes, 120 minutes, whatever it is. I think Ivory Coast is ready. I've seen a couple of, documentaries put out for them. But again, the tiniest details can still be put in place. Some of the, especially when it comes to logistics, connecting some of the stadiums, especially some of the countries that will play their first 2 games in the stadium, then they'll have to move somewhere else. But above all, you can never be ready for a tournament until the tournament starts.
All right, I agree. I agree with that. Austin?
Yeah, the way I am with football and tournaments, I always tell African countries when you have an opportunity to get the world talking about you, particularly West African countries, we must do the right things. The World Cup is just, the Cup of Nations, it's just next year. And by now, we should be taking a tour of the stadiums that will host the Africa Cup of Nations and start talking about some of the great football we see. That's what they do in North Africa. See, whenever they are bidding to have competitions. That's what they come out to show us. So Cote d'Ivoire needs to put up quality show. They've told us that they will do that. Infrastructure is very important, so they must tick those right boxes. They must ensure that the good, mentions get out there about this competition, because it will do so good to African football. It will help you sell it, particularly, with commercialization, putting it on television and getting the Western media to respect what we're doing in Africa. This looks good on TV. I just hope that when the competition starts, even the football will be better.
All right, I hope so as well. Let's move on. We have less than 8 minutes before we wrap things up on the show. We were planning to have a discussion around match day 4 of the Nigerian Women's Football Premier League. But I get an honorable mention on the show tonight. Subsequently, we talk in detail about what happened during the midweek, and we'll also look forward to the weekend. But let's jump and move quickly to the English Premier League. Let me yield to you, Austin. You said something that caught my attention at the start of the show. Manchester City, is everyone in agreement that they're struggling? By the way, let's quickly take a look at the results. Match day 15 results. Manchester United defeated Chelsea 2-1. Sheffield United lost to Liverpool 2-0. Fulham hammered Nottingham Forest 5-0. There are talks about the manager losing his job. Crystal Palace lost to Bournemouth by 2 goals. These are some of the results. Of course, Brighton defeated Brentford 2-1. Aston Villa, of course, this one surprised everybody, defeated Manchester City 1-0. Luton Town and Arsenal won probably last kick of the game 4-3. Wolverhampton Wanderers defeated Burnley 1-0. And Austin, I don't know how far we can go, but I guess we can talk about the Manchester United-Chelsea game, and of course the Aston Villa stunner in the way they defeated Manchester City.
Manchester United Chelsea game. Chelsea fans in the United Kingdom, they are furious. They thought that they were making bans that even Luton Town can beat Manchester United now, and Chelsea couldn't take an opportunity to beat Manchester United. And I think they're wrong, because Manchester United are in a position now where they need to win every game as it comes, particularly when they play at Old Trafford. Yes, teams have gone there and have won. Newcastle went there, they won. Newcastle is a very coordinated side. So with Chelsea, they need to go back and take a look at their players, particularly when the key guys in midfield aren't doing their jobs, and then you give Jackson 20 chances and he scores just 1. So that's a big problem. McTominay got into the game and, got 2 good chances and he took it. That's how desperate Manchester United are at the moment for points. So I'm not part of those people who are thinking that, if anybody that meets Manchester United now is just go all out and then beat them. That's just bias because of what they're going through at the moment. Chelsea is also going through theirs. So I thought this was a good win for Manchester United. Before we listen to Eric Ten Hag, who, by the way, is having a little bit of relief after that win. Manchester City and Aston Villa, shout out to Aston Villa. Now they've recorded their 14th win in a row in the English Premier League at home. That level of dominance at Villa Park, I cannot explain it. It's now a fortress. But let's listen to Eric Ten Hag. He's saying this team will just keep getting better because he believes in the quality that he's got in the squad.
I'm very pleased with the number of chances we created, and I think it was very enjoyable for all of us, for our fans as well, to watch us playing. And that is what we want every game. But I know it's not possible because we are not robots. But if you play less good or you play poor, then you still have to win. And in the end, we won. But we could have made our life much easier when you scored 3 times in the first 30 minutes, because I think we started very good, very proactive, very dynamic, very brave. And we created a lot of challenges in that moment. And we could have go up with 2 or 3 goals. You have to collect points. So that's going to be the next step. But you see how we play, the style, so dominating the opponent in and out of possession. That is the way I want to play. And so I was very pleased, and for me it was very enjoyable how the team today played.
I totally agree with him. Before we come into the conversation proper, let's listen to Pep Guardiola right after his team lost to Aston Villa. And Yemi, I'll explain to you why not just me, but a lot of football fans in the United Kingdom believe that Manchester City are struggling at the moment.
Better team won. So Aston Villa was better than us, and we struggled to make some process, and after, especially when they defend a medium block and we make a build up, so we didn't find inside and outside any movements in behind. It's really difficult because they are well organized and they are fast and physical players. They are able to control many aspects. That is the reason why they are up there and playing good football, and we could not do it. So and just it's my duty, my job, to find a way to come back the situation, because not on many years together always we were able to find a way to win games, sometimes playing good, sometimes playing not, but always we find a way to do it. And now that we are struggling, so we have to change the dynamic, win as soon as possible.
The last time Manchester City won a league game was the 4th of November. That 6-1 win over Bournemouth at the Etihad Stadium. After then, Yemi and Okpeyemi, they have gone 4 matches without a win. And Okpeyemi, you listened to Pep Guardiola. Did he or did he not agree that they are now struggling?
Well, before yesterday's defeat, it was the same person that was boastful to the fact that they were still going to win the league. And truly they're struggling. It wasn't just about the victory yesterday for Aston Villa. It was that level of dominance. It was the fact that Aston Villa actually taught Man City a beautiful footballing lesson at the Villa Park. The fact that they've not lost in there in 13 games before that yesterday's game. See, Manchester City had, the last shot they had on target was about in the 12th or 11th minute of that game. Aston Villa, I mean, that victory looks like an emphatic 1-0 victory that could, if possible, award more than 3.4. Fine, Pep Guardiola would always come out with the mind game and mind energy, but the truth is this, in a way, because they've not got the luxury of the big players they used to have, right? Mahrez is out of the side, he's moved over, Eke Gundogan had also left the side, Kevin De Bruyne has been injured in and out, so it looks like the team is not a bit balanced, and I don't even see the return of Kevin De Bruyne doing anything exceptional, but again, it's Pep Guardiola, it's Manchester City. At some point, they were trailing Arsenal by 9 points last season. About when it got to the sprint, they took over from Arsenal, and then they won the league by 5 points over Arsenal. It's still Man City. They're still the European champions. They've won the Premier League back to back to back to back. Hey, you can always put some money on the fact that Man City are really struggling at the moment, but when it gets to that point, they could just get it clicking, or perhaps the teams around them are also getting better.
All right, a lot of factors to consider, but we have to rein ourselves in because our time is up. That's just what it is. We could go on and on and talk about other things happening. I have my opinion too as well, but like I said, we have to rein ourselves in. Austin, our time is up. We have to go.
I say it again, the Manchester City is struggling because they don't have Rodri and he's showing, and the other guys are stepping up. So these are very difficult times for Manchester City. Before we go, quick updates on the live games that are being played. It's Tottenham 1, West Ham United 0. That game is in its 29th minute. It was Christian Romero in the 11th minute. He got a delicious delivery from Pedro Porro, and then he gave us a fine header. That's his first goal, Romero's first goal at White Hart Lane to give Tottenham the lead. The game between Everton and Newcastle, it's in its 53rd minute, and it's still goalless. That's the show. In London, Austin Okonapan, in everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
All right, it's a wrap in Lagos as well. Before we go, I want to thank Okpeyemi for his time on the show.
Thank you, Yemi.
Hopefully we'll do this again.
I wish our Nigerian representative well at the CAF Awards.
All right, I wish them all the best. That's the show today. We do hope you've enjoyed everything we've been able to bring to you. We'll do this again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.